Okay, well, good evening, afternoon, whatever time zone you folks are in. My name is Chris Goglin. I'll be hosting tonight's OCS playoff match between Tom and Gavino1983. Both players are in the lobby. Tom looks like he's ready. They're supposed to be getting started here at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 7 minutes. But want to make sure we got the stream up and running, and I'll just filibuster for 7 minutes or so until they actually get started. Um, this will take the place of my weekly Monday night show where I normally do my Jump game reviews. We're getting into the OCS playoffs now, so that may bump some of our regularly scheduled programming as we bring you some live, high quality content between some of the more experienced players. And it looks like they're getting ready and getting set up here in just a second. And Tom is saying he's going to play with light. And he's putting up the playoff game. All right, let's see what we got here. Gavin's playing Rops. Tom is playing Lightsaber Combat. Well, we know it's always an unexpected matchup with Tom. He rarely plays conventional deck types, and even when he does, they are not what your standard build would be. If you were to play Throne Room, it would have all kinds of wacky cards in it. If you were to play Ralops deck, he'd be doing something goofy. I played against a Hunt Down deck he was using the other day, and he had 5 different locations all on different planets, and he just basically waited for you to commit to one, and then he just spread on the other 4. Um, that kind of stuff. So very creative and innovative deck builder. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He kind of lives by the sword and dies by the sword. So we'll see just what exactly we have going on here. All right, Gavin starting Raltier operations with Kuat, so he'll pull Mustafar and Vader's Castle. And we'll see what his other 2 starting effects are. Code clearance to give his guys the forfeit boost. And he's going with domination for effect number 3, letting him redraw and or win battles and retrieve guys. And Tom's going to go with Wackling, Jedi Business, and Squadron Assignments, the regular one, not the virtual one. Jedi Business, non-Episode 1 Jedi are lost, so we will not see any Jedi Lukes in this matchup, or any version of Jedi Luke. Qui-Gon comes down cheaper, which is great because he's the main guy doing all your dueling. Mace is immune to attrition unless he's with Anakin or Vader. That helps boost Mace, who's another key character. Then you can either get Malastare, Mos Espa, or the Nightclub. More importantly, you can get the lightsabers for your dudes. Tom's also going to play Were You Looking For Me and go get 3PO. 3PO will help him cycle back some of his high destiny cards to track around, get his low destiny characters and stuff out of his deck once he gets him on the table. And then Wackling being just a nice +1 activation. The lightsaber combat sites, if you're not familiar with them, you've got the 2/2 here. Light side is Jedi or power +2. Dark side is Dark Jedi or power +1, but it's a 4 strain -1 site for them. This is where light side would like them to be, and not over here where they can drain for 3 or sometimes 4 if they have a guy with a lightsaber. And this site has the same text on both sides. Just says that characters' ability less than 5 about to be hit instead are placed in their used pile. So you shoot somebody and they go used. So your Padmes, your Landos, your Tarkins, your Dr. E combos, those guys all end up in the used pile long before you get to the the damage segment of the battle. All right. Tom Weises to pull Boss Nash Chamber. Gavin pulls the Secret Plan Shield, which he will likely also need at some point. Vader's Castle was in hand, so he doesn't need to pull Mustafar if he doesn't want to. And seeing that his opponent started squadron assignments, that could be a possibility. He's probably going to play a bunch of R2 and Red 5s and Luke Skywalker V to get some retrieval, piloting in space. Could also play Red 5 because it's completely immune to attrition. But the R2 and Red 5 is a 0-7 Destiny, so that's usually the one that you see a few copies of in a lot of combat decks because they can play the All Wings combo to pull it into hand, and then you can stack it to do lightsaber combat. And if we get to that point, I'll explain how all that works as well. And Gavin does pull Mustafar with his 2 Force. He gets the Street out, and he draws a couple. Thank you to those of you joining us in the live Twitch chat. If you haven't renewed your subscription, if it's coming up, make sure to continue to do that by hitting that purple button in the top right, or follow us along if you're not already. And that's how you qualify to get some free foil cards. Those of you should be approaching your 12-month subscriptions pretty soon. We'll be getting foil copies of the I Want That Map objective. So Tom's going to put out the Boss Nash Chamber. He's going to dump 3PO there where he's fairly safe. And now he's going to start cycling through some cards. And then he's just going to go to his draw phase and draw a few more cards and kind of load up his hand. Be curious to see if he's using any of these other 3 locations. He may have Malastare just as a place to put his ships. It really only gives you any type of bonuses or anything. It's all related to pod racing, which doesn't look like he's run unless he's got a mid-game pod race kind of set up where he's just going to slowly accumulate the cards and put them out. Wouldn't put it past Tom, but usually if you're going to pod race, you start it. That also doesn't work very well on Jemp right now. Jemp doesn't quite handle the cards with multiple destiny numbers properly when pod racing. So when you stack the 0-7 R2 and Red 5 on the pod racer, you choose 7, and then it only reads it as the 0, so it doesn't really count toward your total. He can get Malastare, Mos Espa, or the Nightclub. Yeah, I would think he'd be playing Malastare just so he had some place against like a Hunt Down or something like that he could put his ships and go to space to get around battle plan. But you never know. He could be running the other locations as well. Yes, when you hit your 3, 6, and 12-month subscription goals, you just private message those over to me on the PC forums, just a screenshot, or you can email it to, I'll put that in the chat as well. And you can just send it there. I try and send them out in groups and not just, one at a time, piecemeal. So you may, like the first couple might get delayed, but once you get to 6 months, I try and get you all caught up with everything by then. I'm sure there's a few people out there that I'm missing though. All right, Gavin's getting quite a bit of activation now. He's already up to 15, thanks to the 4 extra force that Tom gave him. These 2 guys know each other pretty well. They play almost daily, it's safe to say. Yay! Thank you for renewing your subscription. I'm assuming that's you, Tomas. The TP kind of gives you away. And we're seeing lots of ROPS. Yeah, we're seeing lots of ROPS in various forms, given the the individual timers on Jemp and just the control style of the deck, the ability to maintain secure good board control, and then just the abusiveness of both the objective and domination to cycle through all kinds of characters. Certainly makes ROPS probably, I think it's probably the strongest dark side. People argue that map is better. Um, I would argue that ROPS, when played right, uh, is probably stronger than map. So Gavin gets out Mara in Decimator and then puts the Emperor's Reach aboard as a pilot. So while alone and piloted by an Imperial, it adds a Battle Destiny. It's immune to less than 4, and then you get Marek, who's ability 3, who gets a forfeit boost from code clearance. So he's actually forfeiting for 8 right now. And while piloting, opponent cannot cancel or substitute Battle Destiny draws here. So they can't use Wedge to cancel in space or substitute, so they no Darklight or Spin to substitute the draw. While he's piloting an Imperial Starfighter, it is also Maneuver plus 2. So as you can see here, this is now defense value 7 because it's getting the maneuver bonus, making it harder to shoot with something like an X-Wing cannon if Tom were to go that route. If he's playing Luke and Wedge and they're matching ships, an X-Wing cannon isn't a bad call. It's certainly a good way to deal with like the Emperor shuttle or something, or a regular version of Mara ship with like Ozzel or somebody piloting it. Woohoo! No, we're live. This is all live. These guys are on the West Coast, so it's 2:30 in the afternoon for them, and they're managing to get their game in. They're also playing the same time again tomorrow with game number 2, unless by some miracle this one goes quickly and they just roll right into game number 2. But I believe they're scheduled to play game number 2 tomorrow at the same time, and we're going to figure out who's going to be streaming that one. I don't usually get home from work until closer to 6, so about 15-20 minutes from now, so I would miss the beginning of the game, and we would like to try to avoid that. So we're going to see what we can do. Perhaps hopefully Tom Kelly will be available, and he can take on streaming game 2. But it was very nice of these guys to schedule this game so early in the day, so our European players could watch live. I'm sure you guys were really looking forward to getting up at like 6:30 in the morning to watch Bastion's games. Um, so all right, Tom got out the Jedi Council chamber and attempted to deploy Yoda and let Gavin verify his deck. So Gavin's now gotten some extra information here. See if he's able to put that to any good use. Because these players know each other so well, I think you're going to see them both take different lines of action than you probably would normally see. You don't normally see Rops go right to space right away, and you certainly wouldn't expect him to go with a ship to Mustafar. You might be concerned about putting the ship to Raltier if you were going to do that to prevent them from just dropping a Taniv and blocking you from flipping. Maybe Gavin's not even trying to flip. Maybe he's just, running more of like a mains type version, and he's less concerned about flipping and just really using the objective for the exchange text. Yes, Bastion advanced, Charlie advanced. They will both play. They will play each other in round number 2, but they have some time before that. Silver Glenn has not played his games yet. I believe he has one scheduled though. And I lost game 1 to Werfs by 13, and we have not scheduled game 2 yet. That'll be one of the nights this week, Wednesday, Thursday, probably this week. We'll try and get game number 2 in. Tom's got Qui-Gon Jinn, Jedi Master. He's the guy you want in combat, and he uses Jedi business to get his Destiny 5 lightsaber. This guy is so good in combat because when he wins, he adds 2 to the force loss. So instead of them losing 2 cards, you lose 4. And that's pretty awesome. And then he deploys -2 to Naboo, plus -1 from Jedi business. So he's only 5, which is pretty solid. And the Destiny 5 lightsaber here adds 1 to your combat total. So you're already 1 point ahead. The goal of lightsaber combat, while you're on the front side here, they cannot force drain where they have a Dark Jedi. So they have to put if they're going to put Dark Jedi down, they have to kind of come to Naboo, otherwise they can't drain there. But when they do, then you flip, and then you can't drain, and the only thing you can do, or battle, with Jedi. So the only thing you can really do is combat against them. And it's basically like a little mini duel, but it's lightsaber combat. They're different actions. So it's 2 Destiny. You both draw. Loser loses 2 force, which can't be reduced. Qui-Gon adds 2 to that, making it a total of 4. And if the difference between your totals is 5 or greater, the character who lost the duel goes away, and they also have to lose the force from reserve deck. So they have to top deck those 4 cards. And that can be very powerful and very problematic. Friday and Sunday. Looks like ours when Silverglens games will be. Okay. So, yeah, we did add Tom Kelly to. No, Rops won't be that good at dueling. Now, is Domination. Yeah, only during battle can you do the redraw text. So they can't even, like, if you draw an Imperial, redraw it with Domination. But anywho, as I was saying, yeah, Tom Kelly's going to be helping us out with streaming some games this, at least in the beginning, the first rounds or 2 as well. A lot of people have been, because of the time zone differences, they're playing at weird hours when it happens to be convenient for them, which doesn't necessarily happen to be convenient for myself, Dan, and Jerry. So Tom has a bit more flexible schedule these days. So he was nice enough to jump in and help us out with a few games. Yeah, if he's got some Emperors or 2, he'll have some 6s and he could have some 5s. I mean, it's unlikely he's going to win any combats, but he could certainly lose by not enough to get knocked off the board, which would then keep his guys around to battle the following turn. And sometimes that's good enough for Darkseid when you're trying to deal with combat. You take the 2 loss or the 4 loss against Qui-Gon, and then now he's got the if you deploy over here, he's going to move to you to combat you, and then he's kind of stuck there, kind of hung out to dry, and that's when you can put a counter beat in. Gavin force pushed, and after force pushing, he has decided to play Grand Moff Tarkin to the 3-2 site. He's one of the guys we talked about earlier, not sticking around too long. He's going to get hit and sent used. Gavin gets out site number 3. Both players are activating 17 force. There's a Stormtrooper garrison. The garrison will prevent Tarkin from getting hit, and there's the field promotion. Okay, so he's playing the field promotion version of Ralops. This is a weird little loophole. So field promotion promotes a guy he gains the leader skill, he becomes power +1, etc. The Stormtrooper garrison says Imperial leaders present may not be targeted by weapons. He doesn't say other Imperial leaders, so he includes himself in this. So because he's got the field promotion, he becomes a leader. So now none of the leaders can get hit by weapons, and therefore they all get to stick around. We've seen this in ISB before. Become very difficult to deal with because they spend lots of spies to like your Jedi Council chamber and just kind of hang out over here and drain for 4 or 5, slap a presence of the Force on it to make it a battleground, and then stack like these guys here. You just there's too much power, too many destiny, and you can never get rid of them. So all these guys piling up here in front of Qui-Gon is certainly going to be very problematic. He adds Kir Kanos as well, pulls Min Kun from the deck. And now Tarkin with the leader adds a destiny. The Garrison with the leader adds a destiny. Min Kun is the only guy here who is not a leader, so he actually can get swung at by Qui-Gon. Not a good start for Tom, though, drawing a 1. He should have a bunch of high destiny left in there, but ouch. The only guy he can swing at who's ability 3 in a deck filled with a multitude of high destiny cards, and he misses. I think we're going to have to find out real quick whether Tom's got a Hoojix. Otherwise, he's going to be peeling quite a bit in overflow here. He's down 15. Qui-Gon covers 9, so he's already down by 6. And it's a 3-to-1 destiny draw situation. And Tarkin can redraw anything under 4, and Domination can redraw any character, at least one character. So, yeah, that was pretty disastrous. Because if you can take that 5 power off the board, well, then he's only down by like 10. And then, wow, see, that'd be great for him. Oh, he drew a 0, but stupid Tarkin, well, not stupid Tarkin, he only does it once. But Tarkin lets him redraw that, so that's a strong bonus text. He could take that into hand. I'm guessing he will not. 3 is a decent enough destiny in this situation. I would let it go. If he draws another character that's like a 1 or a 2, I could see him redrawing that with Domination, but I think in a Ralops deck this early in the game, I think a 3 you'll be happy with, usually. That one he might redraw. Yeah. And there's a 4. So he's got a total of 9. That gets him to 30. And Qui-Gon is covering up to 15. So it's going to be 15 minus whatever light side draws here. So now would be a good time to draw a 6 or a 7. And a third 1. So either this is terrible luck, or Tom has the strangest light side combat deck we've seen in a while. Which, it's Tom, so hey, you never know what he might have going on here. 12 cards in hand, no Jedi love. Ouch. Alright, so it's going to be Qui-Gon and a Hoojix, or 14 more cards on top of it. And he had the Hoojix. Okay, we'll probably see if Gavin wants to grab that. Ah, new subscriber. Hey! 12 months. Woohoo! See, I knew the first people would start hitting 12 months pretty soon. Thank you for renewing your subscription, Joe. Oh, he pays the maintenance costs. He does not grab the Hoojix. Now, the other thing, too, is the Garrison, while at an opponent's site, force drain +1 here. So it's another way to get a bonus. So this would currently be a drain of 4. I would expect we'll see light side come back down. He saved 6 force, and he gets to activate 16. So he can pretty much activate right back to that clump of characters he just drew for Destiny. I'm kidding. Um, yeah, he's going to pull Don't Do That again, and maybe he'll just use it to shuffle his deck. Maybe there's an immediate effect he wants. Nope, Gavin's going to get to verify. So he's going to shuffle this deck now, try and shuffle around some of those clumps of low destinies, and then see what he's got up his sleeve with these 11 cards, and he'll have 22 force to work with that he can go find a spot to counterattack. Yeah, Kier does cancel when he's with another Imperial. He's not a leader, so unless he's got another field promotion that he can slap on Kier Canos to make him a leader, to keep him around, I guess he could do that. Joe, you just joined us. You missed. He swung at Kier last battle and missed. He drew 2 1s. So, but the general over here wasn't doing a whole lot and has the lower forfeit, I guess. It was kind of the same because the trooper's there too. So, but yeah, Kier does have the better ability, of course, being able to cancel the non-immunosense interrupt. So something like Clash or whatever like that, he could cancel. But you can't play Clash in combat, so that's on inner strength. You can't play Clash, or sorry about the mess. So all those easy ways of removing characters, they don't have access to. They get this great site, and they had, the text on the objective, the Finger of Death, as we always refer to it as. Once during your control phase, target one opponent's character present with your Jedi. Target is lost. Just that guy dies. As long as you're on the 0 side, which means it's not a Dark Jedi. So the shield here, though, changes that. Opponent can only use 1 combat card, and you can only target undercover spies and 5d6 instead. So you can't just zap anybody you want now. You can only use it to get rid of undercover spies, and 5d6, who's only played in ISB, primarily to reduce force drains. Keep Cure because his defense value. Yeah, obviously he's not going to get hit. I'm assuming that there's probably 2 or 3 copies of Field Promotion in this deck. So that might be part of Gavin's thinking as well. Is he'll just get another Field Promotion for Cure Canos later. Possibly when he flips, he can upload any card he wants, so he could take a Field Promotion into hand. But right now, Gavin's looking at drains of 1 and 4. And Tom does play Malastare from hand. Okay, so we had speculated earlier that that probably would have been the card if he was going to play any of the locations. That would have been the one that he would have chosen from Jedi Business. And now we've got a General Kenobi. He's not a guy we see a whole lot of. During battle, if he's alone or with a clone, you get to activate a force or add 1 to a just drawn destiny. Once per game, he can take into hand a clone or an episode. Reflections 3 lightsaber. He's immune to attrition less than 6. And we've got Luke, and this is Luke V, to do the retrieval as well, making his appearance to Malastare. The Malastare system, as we talked earlier, if you win a pod race, light side gets the force drain +1. And the dark side text is if you lost a pod race, you can't draw more than 1 battle destiny here. But there's no pod racing going on in this game, and I don't think this works right anyway. It was bugged for a while. I don't know if it's been fixed or not, but last time I tried playing pod racing, it didn't record the winner and loser of the race. So it's like, oh, the race is over, and then it kind of forgot what happened, as like that the race even existed. So I don't know if I haven't checked the bug report forums in a little while to see if that one was ever fixed. It might have been fixed. I think they fixed that one, but couldn't fix the Destiny 07 on the R2 and Red 5 bug. And thank you for renewing your subscription, Leia's Daddy. 6 months now. Excellent. Be sure to make sure you send me over the screenshot of that, so that way we can put you on the list and get your foils headed out. Gavin's going to play a command and get General Veers V, and Tom is going to grab it. And then Tom's going to draw a handful of cards here. He was not able to get a third battleground, so he won't be able to pull resistance. So that is going to be a drain of 4. Yeah, they can't cancel your drains at Naboo sites, but I don't see anything in here that you can't. So if he had like a control, he could cancel the drain there, I believe. Excuse me. What's the current number of regs for the NPC? We haven't even started taking registration for the NPC yet. Right now, we should be announcing the dates of the Endor Grand Prix today, and the Endor Grand Prix will be in January, and that'll be the next live major event, and we'll get the pre-registration up for that in the next couple days to let people start signing up for that. Yep, there's the control tunnel vision. Okay. So Tom will go ahead and cancel said drain. And then Tom is going to put Walkling out of play, and he's going to retrieve his control tunnel vision. Whether he's anticipating which function of that he's thinking he's going to need more, Tom has decided that's a card he's going to need to get back right away. Canceling a drain of 4, certainly going to come in handy. You may also need it to dig out some cards when you're activating, 17 force a turn. Trying to match stuff up and pair stuff up can be problematic at times. So being able to dig through your force pile can really come in handy there. Tom loses a Speak with the Jedi Council from hand, and Gavin uses Marek Steele's other text, which lets him take a once per game try and get a TIE Defender, which he did not find, and Tom's going to get to verify Gavin's deck now. Gavin should still have the other site. Maybe not. It might be further down that he drew for Destiny here, but I guess he spent more than 13 force, so it's probably a few cards down off the top of his force pile. That fourth site. Oh, no, there it is. I guess it was right there. It looks like he might be going for the flip here. We've got Colonel David John. We know he's got Min Kun in hand as well. Yeah, we don't have any dates set for Worlds or stuff next year. We're still accepting applications for where it will be hosted. All right. Which reminds me, I got to get Taco Bill some information. Sorry, Bill, I forgot about that. All right. Vane goes to the docking bay for 4 force. Vane can then also activate a force if necessary. Okay, so there's the flip. He's going to go get any card he wants first before he does the activate. Smart doing it things in the right order, giving himself one more option. Pick the best card out of 12 instead of picking the best card out of 11. And then if he needs that extra force, he can activate it. And Min lets him play a defensive shield. He'll pull firepower. It's always a good card against combat. They usually have ways of, well, sometimes you'll see things like dodge commonly played, so that way when guys do get stuck in front of people, they just then dodge back away. It's a risky play, for sure. One of the other advantages to lightsaber combat um, is it puts, much like throne room, it puts very few cards on the table usually. So you have either have a lot more cards remaining in your life force to work with, or certainly has the potential to have some higher differential wins between the retrieving for winning the combats and retrieving with Luke and things like that. It can certainly drag a game out pretty long. Gavin's going to throw our Mithronadu guy. Primarily used for canceling weapon destinies, but this other text may actually come in handy here. Once per turn, target a related location. Opponent loses 1 force the next time they move to that location this turn. So, related location. You could pick one of these out. Probably actually not going to come in handy. And Tom will pull the weapons display shield since Gavin deployed cards with ability and he controls a site and a system. He will get to retrieve a force at the end of his turn, so that's going to help get some of the cards back he just lost. So he'll get back the speak, and then Luke will retrieve one at the start of the turn, or in the control phase, to get another card back. So, for how badly this first battle went for Tom, he's actually, barely lost anything so far. And he's going to get the Hoochiks back as well, which could certainly make a difference somewhere down the way. But we're certainly showcasing some deck diversity so far in the OCS. We've seen a couple of ROPS decks for sure, but we've seen a bit more diversity in light side so far. We've seen Diplo, we've seen Lightsaber Combat, we've seen Watch Your Step. I'm sure we'll be seeing some Legend and Old Allies in some of these other upcoming matchups. Luke retrieves the Hoojiks. Tom drains for 1, and Gavin top decks a field promotion, so see he was running more. The drain is only 1 here because of the ROPS objective being flipped. Opponent's force drains are -1 at non-route tier locations. So this is a drain of 0. This is a drain of 1. ROPS is bad for combat. If ROPS just ignored, light side would drain 0, 0, 2 at system site. Yeah. ROPS could just have ignored, but he probably wouldn't have resisted, hoping to make him peel 10 to 15 early if he didn't have the Hujix. But now ROPS can spread, and gonna be tough for light side to do a whole lot of damage. Yeah. That seems like an accurate description of the matchup. Um, unless Gavin gets caught with his pants down without a Gick. We saw him draw the Gick for Destiny earlier. So if he only runs one and doesn't have it in hand, and, say Colonel David John were to get the crap kicked out of him over here or something, that could certainly swing a game. But in terms of just, I'm going to ignore you, you ignore me, let's just drain race it, yeah, Rops is going to win that one pretty easily. The -1 text being global, like that, universal, is certainly going to slow down light side's damage output. Didn't he lose Gick to a force drain? Well, he lost field promotion. I haven't seen him. Oh, there's an X-Wing cannon. And Thrawn's on the ground. Uh-oh. It is maneuver 7, though. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him lose the Gick. He only just lost the field promotion. Of course, having the Gick in your lost pile is no problem for ROPS because you just exchange for it. So having it in your lost pile is actually a great place to have it, as long as you have at least one interrupt in your hand available. You just do the exchange. Alright, so we got a Leia Rebel Princess coming down. She's going to give him the 3rd battleground, so if he wants to, he can play Ultimatum. He's pulled 4 shields, though, so he'll need some other way to get a shield out to cap this drain at only 2. Well, he's going to flip ROPS back, take advantage of these open sights. Sends Qui-Gon over here, sends Leia over here. Qui-Gon has a text on him that lets him get his lightsaber back. Once per game, you can lose 2 force to deploy the lightsaber on him from a lost pile. So if he wanted his lightsaber, he could go get it. I don't know that that's going to come in handy too much. Yep. Oh, he's got a perimeter scan. Okay. That'll get him an extra defensive shield. That should get him Ultimatum. And that should stop some of the bleeding this turn. So this will be capped at a drain of 2. This will be 1. And then these drains here would get canceled by Leia, letting him retrieve 2 cards and put him on top of his reserve deck. Some people have different thought processes on that. Sometimes people will just not drain to not let them get the cards back, to just ignore her until you can find a way to kill her. Other people have the mentality of, I'm just going to get those drains out of the way real quick. 1 and 1, Leia uses up her ability, she's done, and then next turn I can get my damage through again. I've heard arguments both ways as to which way the better way of handling her is. I think it really depends on your hand and what you have. If you have something you can go kill her with immediately, sure, don't give them the 2 free cards. If you're not sure if you're going to be able to deal with her, you don't want to keep it giving up damage. You don't drain this turn because you're going to try and kill her. Then you don't kill her and she moves away. Well, now you're not draining the next turn either. So now you've just lost more damage potential by leaving her on the table longer. And in a deck like this, which is known to run cards like Dodge, It's a Trap, that kind of stuff, he saved 3 force. I might be more inclined to just do the drains, get it done and over with, and then deal with Leia. Don't deal with her. It becomes less urgent. Could also use the 3 force for the X-Wing cannon, so that might also be an option for why he left it. He did move over to Mustafar here. But this is maneuver 7 with, as we discussed earlier, with the Marek Steel aboard. So he would have to top deck a 5 in order to get it. Now, if you drain here this turn, he's going to put the 5 on top. So um, that would be something obviously to keep in mind before you battle into. So there's a lot of interesting paths here. It's going to really depend more on what Gavin's hand looks like and what he kind of wants to do this turn. Definitely draining for 2 here. It's at the top of the list. Probably going to skip these this turn then if he's going to plan on battling anywhere. I'll check the chat log and see if I can reverse back to what those cards he lost were. One of them is the general. One of them is the starting interrupt. One of them is field promotion. The other one is force push. So no, Kick is not in his loss pile. Alright, so Tom gets drained for 2. He top decks to control tunnel vision and relatively unprotected. So there's a 7 sitting on top of his loss pile. Highly unlikely he's going to drain here now. That's like 99% confidence I have that he will not be force draining at these 2 Valtyr sites this turn, letting him put that 7 back on top of his deck. If it was the 1, that might have worked. Especially because he's already used 3PO this turn. So you'd either have to make him waste something like a once per game Boss Nass to shuffle it around. Otherwise, he's kind of stuck. He does deploy Janice. Gonna need a little bit more than that. Oh, there you go. There's Vader flipping the combat objective and going after General Kenobi, just like in the movies. Kind of, sort of. So now Lightside is not able to force drain where they have Jedi. I think that's only at Naboo sites though, right? Nope. Nope. Can't force drain or initiate battle any location where you have a Jedi. So now they can only try and do the combat stuff to get rid of Vader, get him off the table, and then that'll flip back when there's no longer a Dark Jedi at an interior Naboo location. Tom does play a barrier to stop Lord Darth Vader from battling this turn. Those types of defensive cards are pretty common in combat. You see a lot of Rebel Barrier, a lot of Dodge, a lot of Blast the Door Kid, because these are interior sites. So you exclude people, which gets around the firepower shield, because the firepower shield penalizes Lightside for moving away through things like dodge or narrow escape, path of least resistance. The light side shield penalizes dark side for excluding characters, typically through stunning leader. Alright, so we had Dark Collaboration. So he cancels the barrier with Dark Collaboration, and he uses Min's once per game text to place the interrupt out of play. So he put the barrier out of play, so Tom can't retrieve it, and then he canceled it with the Dark Collaborations. So Vader is not barriered, but Gavin is also not flipped. Coming up on the halfway point on the timers as well. Not something that's usually a point of concern, but anytime Rops is involved, or Angelo, time can always be a bit of a factor. And Gavin's going to add Veers to back up Janice. He's going to battle Leia. He's going to try and kill her, which he will. He'll lose one of his guys here, and then he'll, because this is the street. Yeah, this is the street. So he'll bounce one of these two guys to the street in front of Qui-Gon, giving him his 3 locations back and them controlling none, which will flip his objective back. And then he'll bounce the other one over or something. Gavin's going to exchange a trample from hand to get the dark collaborations back, in case Tom has extra barriers. Lightside draws a We're Doomed. That's a card that can certainly grind a game to a halt. Particularly against Rops, where a lot of their drain damage are all 1s. We're Doomed. If you have less than 15 life force, play during opponent's control phase. Remainder of turn, each time you must lose force, the loss is cut in half. Round up. If R2 or 3PO on table, round down. Well, 3PO's sitting out here. It's a used 5. Very easy to cycle back around and track with 3PO. So they get their first drain in, and then you play that, and now all their drains of 1 get rounded down to 0. And then typically Luke retrieves that 1 force that you lost from the first drain before, yeah. And you just kind of hover right around there at that 14, 15 card bubble, with We're Doomed being the 15th card. So you have 14 cards left down. You play We're Doomed, so you don't have to lose extra force, and then go from there. Gavin is going to battle. He activated a force with Vane, and now he's going to battle for free with Vader. He's down 1 in power. They're both immune to less than 6. Wow. So I'm guessing that was the card he Janiced the turn before. And he found a way to work himself back to it. A well-tracked Emperor. And that'll be enough to clear General Kenobi. And he's got there tracking us to subtract 1 from it to make it a 5. Gavin will exchange a card now. He'll throw the Dark Collaborations away to get his prepared defenses back, and he'll then use the prepared defenses to add 1 to the Just Drawn Destiny. These are all a sequence of just actions, all triggering off the same thing. You can have multiple justs and reacts to the same trigger. So the Destiny goes back to being a 6. And that will be enough to kill General Kenobi. Now we'll have to see what Lightside can draw and whether or not Vader gets to stick around or not. Yeah, they drew a 7. That's going to do it. Light side will actually win the battle here. He'll add 1 to it just for giggles. So light side will win the battle. They will not get to retrieve with domination, and both characters will die. Dark side initiated the battle, so Vader gets forfeited first. That flips the objective back, which then lets light side retrieve a force. When the objective is flipped, they'll pay 1 and retrieve Leia, and then lose Kenobi. So light side lost a little bit of board position there, but didn't really take one of the characters they lost. They already got back, and they took Vader off the board as well. And then, as we said, there's the flip. Gets whatever that card was, and then we'll see somebody else move over, possibly multiple somebodies move over. Obviously, I just want to make it too easy to get flipped back again. I just want to keep playing this flippity flip game. And Mara runs away from the cannons wisely, especially now that 18 cards down is an R2 or 19 cards down is an R2 in red 5. Well, it's probably 20 at this point, because he drew the Destiny and then he paid 1 to retrieve on top of it. So 5 cards from the bottom is an R2 in red 5. He activates 19 force, and then he can 3PO a card, and then he's got a 7 sitting on top. So, yeah, good idea moving away your only ship in space. He only activated 18. Interesting. Oh, because he wants to get Leia back. Yeah. So he just took Leia back into hand. Because he paid 1 to retrieve her. I was thinking it was the other way around. She was on top, but no, yeah. Secret Plans was out. He paid to retrieve. So this is the force that he spent, and then right underneath it is the 7 he drew for Battle Destiny. Gavin loses a Dark Time from his used pile. That was the card used for maintenance. Luke retrieves General Kenobi. Thank you, Batmaster, for sending me over your 6-month subscription. Okay, so we got Rey with lightsaber coming down to back up Qui-Gon here. And then there's Leia going out wide. So Leia's going to be available to try and flip back after he clears here. Yeah, he's going to draw the 7 for Weapon Destiny. I'm sure he would have preferred to have drawn 2 cards to hit and then drawn the 7 for Battle Destiny, but sometimes you have to take what you can get. So he does that. He hits. He retrieves one with Ray for hitting, getting his other 7 back. So he just put 2 sevens to get. Well, not quite, because the secret plan is going to get in the way. Um, but yeah, he's got 2 sevens within striking distance of each other. Curious that he hit Vane though, and not Min Kun, who has the higher forfeit value from the code clearance. That might be a minor mistake. Because between the site and the street, Min Kun's forfeiting for 9. Vane was forfeit 0. Would have been forfeit 5 only. And Gavin draws an Ellis for Battle Destiny. Interesting. Not a card you usually see, because usually you see most Ralops decks running Imperial Arrest Order to get the extra forfeit or to get the docking bay and stuff faster. Gavin's going to throw Krennic away to get Vader back into hand. And the Destiny is a tie, so it doesn't matter. No overflow anyway. Totals were only 7, so Rey will cover. Qui-Gon's immune anyway. And Vane will die. And then Lightside now controls 2 locations, so the objective flips back. Lightside also now has 3 battlegrounds again by putting Leia out, so Ultimatum is back in effect to negate this drain. Probably see Luke move back over, draw a card or 2. This seems more and more likely that this game is going to go to time, so I guess I better figure out where exactly we wrote down what happens when a game goes to time. Let's see how we spelled this out. I'm sure we probably wrote it down last year. In the meantime, yep, moves over. Tom plays Rescue in the Clouds, which Gavin will then grab. It's always a good card to use to set some stuff up. I know one of my favorite cards for light side combat is the Ascension Guns Virtual, because it basically just says if the opponent occupies your location, you peek at the top 2 cards of your reserve deck, you take one into hand and put the other one back. So that kind of helps you set up perfect combats. You just pick the lower Destiny card, take it into hand, and then just go ahead and clear some people out. Let's see if we ever. There's the drain of 4. That'll get capped at 2. so the Emperor went down to the 2/2, which is typically he's one of the worst characters to deal with in combat because he can't ever move. Um, so he can't move he can't move two people to block drains. Yeah, certainly can if you're playing him in dark side combat. He can never move to initiate a combat. Um, his movement text is a bit of a limitation. Gavin drops the second domination, and he certainly has more battlegrounds. And Vader goes in front of Leia. That is a battle he is likely to win, in which case he will now get to retrieve 2 Imperials that he lost in previous battles. He also has an I have you now to add a second battle destiny. If he were flipped, this would be pretty difficult to deal with, but there's 2 4s, and that silly TIE Scout makes another appearance. That'll bring the total up to 8, making it 15. Leia covers 7, so anything less than 5 will cause light side overflow. They draw a 5 exactly, so Leia will cover, but dark side retrieves 2 characters, and Vader does not have to die. And the cycle continues. Mara continues her running away. All she needs to do at this point is just stay alive to satisfy battle plan, which isn't even on the table. And both guys are shield busted, so they would need other ways to pull stuff. Pull shields in order to get that out. So that's not actually a concern right now. And Gavin will continue to just keep paying maintenance, keep his guys around. And this game will just continue on. Well, we started off fast and furious with this game, but it seems to have kind of slowed down into just kind of a bit of a lull here. We got some minor little battles going on, but nobody's really gaining a whole lot of ground here. Light side's losing 1 or 2 characters a turn, which Luke is then retrieving. Dark side is then retrieving the guys they battled with the turn before. And they're both sitting at... Tom's got 25 down, 9 in hand. Gavin's got 19 down, 7 in hand. They both have 20 minutes left on their timers. Ray is making another comeback. And Mace is going after the Emperor. Now, Mace can't battle. Mace can only combat. And he shuffles Gavin's deck. So Gavin's going to be blind drawing some destinies. So if that Emperor was floating around or anything else that he had sitting up there. So he can battle as long as he doesn't use a Jedi. And he can stack a card from hand. You're only allowed to use one combat card, but once per turn during any deploy phase, you can place one card face down under your Jedi that becomes their combat card, and instead of drawing combat destiny, you can use that card and substitute it. So we'll get a battle here with Ray first. Ray will swing. And he can't. Oh, he did have one extra available. Oh, Ray misses. Gavin uses Thrawn's text and picks the generator. So if Mace is going to kill and then move away. Yeah. Yep, there's the close call. With how quickly he grabbed Rescue earlier, I was wondering if he was playing close calls in this deck. He does use the close call. He subtracts 3 to make the Destiny total a 2, which Janice is immune to less than. And he draws a 4 and ties. So Janice is going to get to live and stay. And Ray's mission is completely unsuccessful. She doesn't hit him. She lets him draw and exchange Destiny, so he can exchange something to get that close call back into hand. Just one of the many reasons that a number of people have expressed their displeasure with Rops's exchangeability, being able to continue to get some of these used interrupts back over and over again. And Gavin's going to exchange for the prepared defenses one more time to add 1 to that to get it to a 5, so he therefore wins the battle. So he could retrieve a card. Tom's going to play They're Tracking Us. Wow, and to subtract 1, now we've got a sense and an altar. All right. And we're still right back where we started. Oppressive Enforcement is out, so the sense goes used. Altar goes used, because that's the used part of it that cancels the sense. Now They're Tracking Us resolves, putting the Destiny back to a 4, which means the battle ends in a tie, and Domination does not kick in. With no aim high shield out, he would have been able to retrieve 2 Imperials for free for winning that battle, so that was fairly important that that Darkseid did not win that battle. And now we'll get our first lightsaber combat. See what Mace had under him as his combat card. He had a Jedi's Resilience, which I'm sure he would have also have liked to take Ray back into hand with, but he he stacked it as his combat card. And then he will draw a 5 for his second Destiny. That gives him a total of 11. Darkseid is going to blind draw a couple of cards here, because their deck got shuffled. There's a Conquest. That's not really good. It's probably going to be a game over for Emperor here. Yep, and Amadi on top of it. Alright, so the Emperor will be lost. Darkseid will have to lose 2 force, and because the difference in their totals was 5 or greater, the 2 force loss must come from reserve deck. So it's and the character is lost. So they lose Min Kun and General Tag, however you want to pronounce that. And then the Emperor is lost, and then Lightside gets to retrieve a force. So now he knows where his Ray is, 1 card down. And Tom's just going to have to draw, and he's going to have to leave the Mara Jade alone, since he won't have enough force left if he moved over to shoot the cannon. But he does get a 3rd battleground back. But he's still looking at quite a bit of damage this turn. He's looking at 2 here, 3, 4, 5. Oh, he can't drain with him. 5 total. And now he's got the perimeter scan to get the aim high out to at least make the domination retrieval a little more costly. 27, 28, 29 to 19. So Tom is actually ahead by 10 force. Doesn't seem like he's done a whole lot this game, but then again, he hasn't had a whole lot done back to him. They've just kind of been trading back and forth for a few turns. Gavin will cut that distance a little bit here with the total drains of 5. He'll cut it in half. Drain a 1 at the city. There goes the where you looking for me. Drain a 1 at the office. Gets perimeter scanned. Now he'll 3PO to take Ray into hand. Now we've got to drain a 2. There goes a Luke and a Jedi Lev. And Wedge being lost from hand. And here comes the Ellis. Tom down to 2 cards in hand. Gavin tracks back to that conquest. He's moving the party for 1 force. And where are they all going to go? They're going after Mace Windu. They're just sliding over to site. And that is not good for Mace. Emperor goes down over there, so I guess he can then shuffle Colonel David over in front of Qui-Gon after this battle and flip back. So Tarkin's going to add a Destiny, so he's going to draw all 3 of what he's got left. Mace, I believe, is forfeit 8. Yep, so Mace gets him to 16, so he's already down 5. So if Tom hasn't retrieved the Hoojix and cycled it back into... we know he retrieved it, but if he doesn't still have it or hasn't gotten it back into hand, This could be that game-ending battle we thought we were going to see on like turn 2. And it's also going to let Gavin retrieve 2 more Imperials for winning battles. So he's got a 10 total. That puts him up to 31. The retrieval happens also before anything is forfeited, so that he is guaranteed to get the cards back if, you know, if Tom had lost by enough that he was just going to top deck everything and lose the game. He's not, but if he was in that position, the retrieval would happen before the forfeit, so something else to consider. All right, so he drew a Wisa. So Min Kun gets retrieved, and then he'll go ahead and retrieve probably the Emperor to put the 6 on top. Yep. He'll throw away Mithronadu, and it's Mace and 10. He does not have the Hujix. There goes Awisa. There goes We're Doomed. Resilience. They're tracking us. Han Chewie Falcon. General Kenobi. Alter. Were you looking for me? Relatively unprotected. Bith Shuffle. Desperate Reach combo. Colonel David moves over. Objective flips. Now he's adding 4 to his total battle destiny. And since he moved for free, that's 6 on top. He's going to get, he won't get drained for anything at Malastare. So if he does get battled here, there's a pretty good chance obviously he's going to draw the 6, which then becomes a 10. Gets him to 16. Pretty good chance he may actually win that battle and get to retrieve at least one more guy. And now Tom's going to start figuring out what exactly he can do to try and mitigate this any further, get any last minute points of damage in, get more cards, or whether he just needs to throw in the towel at 18. Oh, Tom activates 12 here, and then he attempts to revert, I guess to activate less, and Gavin denies it. Interesting. Whether he did it just to screw with him because they're friends, or he just doesn't believe in reverts. One can only guess. Yeah, Ray should be one of the 2 cards in his hand. But even if Ray comes down and hits Colonel David, he still draws a 10. Gets to 16. Light side's at 11. They draw a 5 for Battle Destiny. They tie. So that wimpy little Colonel David's not looking like he's taking any overflow or anything. Well, Tom doesn't say anything about it in the chat. He just plays on. Yeah, we've seen a few reverts happen, usually related to activation between, in the games that we've seen so far. So having one denied like that during the activation phase, I mean, it's certainly within his right to do so. And here comes Ray, and she's going to take a swing. And she'll hit Janice. He'll be forfeit 0. He'll get to retrieve a force. to get his 7 back once again. And now Janice is going to draw the 6, which becomes a 10, which gets him to 13. And Lightside draws, and it's a 3. I had wondered for a second if he wasn't going to draw Forfeit Ray because she would cover up to 12, and he would just lose a card. And then that way he could then battle Colonel David and clear him off as well, but it doesn't really get Lightside very far to do that. Yep. And now I'll do the ROPS exchange again. It's just such a strong ability. Chris Kelly, if you're still in the chat, it's too strong. Fix it. There, I've done. I've said my piece. He exchanges an Emperor from hand to get Thrawn back from the lost pile. And then he'll use Domination to retrieve. One would think he'll retrieve. Yep, he retrieves the Emperor. Doesn't have any force left to retrieve the second card, though. So everybody dies. But Gavin actually netted +1 force on that battle. See, Steve Brenson gets it. And Qui-Gon runs away. And R2 moves back to Raltier, which flips the objective back because now he controls 2 Raltier locations. But all that does is put another card out of Gavin's hand back in his life force, right on top of that 6 that he just retrieved. So now he can set up 2 solid destinies and go do whatever he wants. Yeah, it's got OP right in the name. And yeah, Stubbly, if you and I must have very different definitions of the word fun. Now I can sense the sarcasm in your typing, even from that. So, all right, we're getting down to the wire here. Both players under 15 minutes left on their timers. Gavin's got 20 cards left. Tom's got 16 left. He's about to lose a handful more. Yep, can't force drain where you have a Dark Jedi, though. So he can't drain here. So he can drain for 1, 1, and 1. So he can do 3 points of damage. And I never did find anything about the timeout rules. So let's see. That's too general of a thing to search for. I'm just going to post it. Maybe one of the other guys remembers where we put it. And while I'm typing up that, Blizzard 4 comes flying down, Thrawn from hand. And there's a barrier on Thrawn. I'm thinking Gavin's still going to battle. He's got him outpowered 8-6, and he should be drawing pretty well here. That's probably the Emperor he retrieved. So he's drawing 8-6. So he'll win the battle and retrieve 2 more guys and cause possibly a little bit of overflow. And then if Qui-Gon dies or doesn't die, well, Thrawn's still there to block him from controlling the location. Yep. El Emperor. He throws away Tarkin, picks Janice back up, because Tarkin's already on the table, so you might as well get a character that you can deploy somewhere. Yep. So Darkseid wins the battle by 4. They get to retrieve 2 guys, increasing their differential. It's like the longer the game goes on, it's more likely that Gavin's just going to keep retrieving more of these characters that he's lost. And he's lost a couple of them now from, I think when he lost the 2 cards from the Emperor, from the combat, those were both characters. He's had a couple guys die in battles, so he's probably got 4 or 5 characters in his lost pile. So the longer the game goes here, it seems more likely he's just going to... He was at 15 or 16 not too long ago. He's already back over 20. Yeah. Tom could have drawn up last turn when it was like, I think it was only like 16 or something that Gavin had left, but he battled him, let him retrieve 1, let him flipped him back, which put another card down. Then now he gets battled here and gets 2 more back, so he just improved his differential by 4 or 5 in the last couple turns here. And yeah, now we're looking at 22 for Gavin. He was denied to revert. Well, he could have kept activating. He hadn't passed his turn yet, right? He hadn't passed the phase. I'm pretty sure it was still in his activate phase to revert. And Gavin will shuffle his guys back around. Tom with just 1 card left in hand and 10 cards left down. to be the end of the road here. What does it cost to lose one to send him used, huh? That might be something he wants to think about too. At this point, just to put another card back, lose a card from hand to send the garrison used. He does get a drain of 1 at Ralt here. And he loses the Min Kun from the used pile. He puts Leia down at the Boss Nash chamber, so he can cancel the drain at the 3-2 site. Moves Luke over to Malastair. Leaves Qui-Gon so he doesn't have to lose force from Thrawn. Yep, and now he's going to battle, and now he's going to win, and now he's going to retreat. Oh, he draws a 1. Oops. That's unexpected. And he draws the 7, so Lightside actually ends up winning that last battle. Darkside will not get to retrieve any more people. I'm sure that's not at all what Gavin was hoping for, but he's still miles ahead this game, so... And we have a new follower. Thank you, Neglect, for following us. Gavin just drew 4 cards from his force pile. I'm not sure why. Like we said, he's miles ahead on life force and differential and could easily just bleed Tom out here the rest of this game. But he just drew 4 or 5 cards, cutting his own differential back down to 16. Maybe he's got a couple of used interrupts in his hand he can play and put back. But if you're Gavin, now seems like a pretty good time to just draw up. You're on the 0 side, so you can drain 1 at Malastare and then just scoop it. Yeah, I've kind of gotten a bit sloppy here toward the end. They've been playing for an hour and 40 minutes, though. Tom's going to activate it all. Drains for 1, and Gavin loses a card from that was face down. Nope. Tom's going to retrieve. So I guess he's going to stick it out one more turn, one more go. This is why you make Leia retrieve right away. We were talking about it earlier. You know, in a deck that retrieves people as often, you know, with as much stuff going on, yeah, Leia's hit the board 3 different times, and she's kind of locked down some force drains since. If he had just drained that first turn and gotten rid of her ability, she would not be at all a threat, and he would be doing a whole lot more damage right now. So that is certainly the plus side of getting her off, of using up her ability as early as possible. Preaching to the choir, Mr. Werfs. Preaching to the choir. Alright, so Qui-Gon moves back. So now he can drop any character to the 4th site and flip. And Tom draws a bunch of cards, so he does not have 3 force remaining in his force pile to shoot anymore in space either. Tom's going to shuffle Gavin's deck, keep him from tracking anything, make him draw that Conquest for Destiny again. Alright, we're in the home stretch here. Tom with only 5 minutes left on his timer. Looks like this game might time out after all. I wonder if that's what Tom's playing for. Well, now he can battle in 3 locations, and he can retrieve up to 6 Imperials. He doesn't have that. I don't think he's got that many in his lost pile. There's Krennic. There's the flip. He took a card from reserve deck. What are you doing, Gavin? Oh. Unless you took a used interrupt, like a Dark Time or something that you can put right back. You're just hurting your own differential. Alright, so he's going to battle Leia. He's adding 4 to his total. I'm guessing he's only battling in 2 spots anyway. Alright, so he's got a 4. That'll get him to 8. So he's going to be at 10. So Lightside has to draw a 7, otherwise they lose the battle. Gavin will exchange a card from hand. So he throws an Emperor away to get back the General into his hand. Really just wants to be able to retrieve the Emperor to put the 6 back in his deck, as opposed to retrieving a 1. Move along. I'm guessing this is an anti-map card. Use 1 force, draw destiny, number of opponent's characters' ability equal 1, must move away or be lost. Map is really the only deck that runs ability 1 Stormtroopers, although that would have come in handy quite a bit earlier with this guy, because he's ability 1. Could have made the garrison move away, and then you could have hit everybody. Sometimes those cards just don't show up. Iceheart dies, Leia dies. And now he'll battle in space, I would guess. And clear Luke, because he's adding 4 to his total. And he should know what that other card is, because he took 1. And he runs away. I think these guys are just trying to play this game until it times out. I think that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to see what happens. Yeah, it does help against Greedo. It's a couple guys, yeah, in Scum. So our standard rule for match play when a game goes to time is it's the difference between the 2 players' life force. I don't know. The OCS is handled a little differently because there's individual timers, and that could certainly work to someone's advantage by intentionally running their timer out, so that way they lose by less than they should. I feel like we had a discussion on this in the tournament committee, but I don't remember what the answer was, and unfortunately it appears we did not post it, so we may not know the exact result of this game. We know Gavin's going to get the win, but in terms of by how much, that we do not know, and hopefully we can resolve that this evening if this game doesn't end in the next 3 minutes. Well, Tom's going to get drained for 5 this turn. 4 at the generator, 1 with Krennic. And this time Tom's got the 3 force left to shoot, but nobody has battle plan out, so having guys in space does not matter. Obviously, if you get hit before the battle ends, that's no good. So he gets drained for 4. We get a rescue off the used pile, blaster deflection from hand, Mace's lightsaber from hand, escape pod off the top of the reserve deck. Oh, Janice was there. I forgot about him. He's draining for 2 more. There goes move along from hand. And Leia off the top. And Krennic will get in on the action. And there goes the Hujix, his last remaining card in hand. Mr. Gavin, you're almost just like, why not battle? There you go. Drop another guy, battle, retrieve 2 more Imperials. Yes, Tom should have drawn up 3 turns ago. Well, now that he's lost to Hujix, it looks like Tom is going to drop a bunch of characters and hopefully try and end the game right here. He's adding 4 to his destiny total. What do we say? Qui-Gon forfeits for 8. Qui-Gon forfeits for 9. So Qui-Gon gets him to 15. That's a 7. That gets him to 20. He throws away the Gick and gets back a Dark Time, so he can subtract 1 from his opponent's destiny. Plus, he can also put the card back in his deck to up his differential by 1. He'll subtract 1 with that. So it's a 4. So it's Qui-Gon and 1 is all he has to lose, but he's going to get to retrieve 2 more guys. Is Tom just going to top deck and end this? Tom doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Tom strikes me as the kind of guy who's just going to lose Qui-Gon and keep his timer running. But I have been wrong about these things before. Alright, he's top decking some cards finally. He's just going to end the game where it is. Alright, so at long last we have our result. Congrats to Gavin for winning by 19 with Darkside. Certainly looked like it was going to be a lot more than that at one point. So 19 is the final result, and it looks like they're playing Game 2 scheduled for the same time tomorrow. So we will try and see who's going to find out who will be streaming that game. It's unlikely it will be me unless, yeah, because I won't be home from work by then. So unless they start late or something, or just jump into the game late, if that's what we have to do. But yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching tonight. And of course, check the schedule. OCF playoff matches here. You notice I continue to add the YouTube links as the games are moved over to YouTube. So in case you happen to miss the videos, you can watch them there permanently afterwards. And we'll go ahead and update this. This was Gavin plus 19 Darkside. And then I will add the game link there once I get it exported to the YouTubes. But that's going to wrap it up for our stream tonight. I am not doing my weekly show because I just spent the last 2 hours already on on Twitch talking to you guys. So we will see you back again for our next game tomorrow. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night.